but I know that it cost me $3,000 to use that picture, and I'm going to make sure that I shoot that shit over to Dave Chappelle. Should have never been on stage that night. You know what I'm saying? And Devin Travis, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, defend and secure Dave Chappelle a whole lot better. Hello there once again. It's your partner, Big Boy. Big Boy's Neighborhood. We are going uncut. Dave Chappelle, the dreamer. We got to speak on that, man. I would have to say that when it comes to this Netflix, Dave Chappelle, the dreamer, this has to be one of the best and I would say one of the scariest stand-ups that I've seen from Dave Chappelle. The reason why I say it's the best, I just thought that the flow was amazing. The topics, you know, Dave is a master at his craft. He's a master at what he does. And also when I say the scariest, man, it was time when I'm literally sitting in my living room and I'm saying, damn, should I be laughing at this? You know, when you think about the LGBTQ plus community, Dave goes there. Handicapped, Dave goes there. His wife being Asian, Dave goes there. The guy that attacked him, hair frill and bushy, Dave goes there. You know what I'm saying? And we just seen a lot so far with 2024. People have really come out. You know, you see Cat Williams. Cat Williams is speaking his mind. You're seeing other comedians that's coming out. But Dave, I didn't get a vibe from Dave where I felt like, oh, man, Dave is just being reckless. You know, Dave falls under a category of comedian to me that, you know, and I'm not, this is not shading anyone else. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's great at what they do. But you also, even with like Cat Williams, you get these people that push the line, and they push the line for what I feel is for the sake of comedy. Comedy has always been a place where it was like, damn, you know, we're laughing at that. There's things that you feel like you shouldn't laugh at, but that's what comedy was. Comedy always has been this outlet of, let me give you my perspective, and I'm going to try to make it funny, entertaining, educational, whatever it may be. I remember after 9/11, the whole world, especially the United States, really shut down. There was nothing to laugh about after 9/11. And I remember watching Saturday Night Live. And I forget who the host was at that time, but I think Rudy Giuliani was on as well. And this was when Rudy Giuliani was like the guy in New York, and he was the guy in America, you know, before the Rudy Giuliani that we know that, you know, catches cases, runs with Donald Trump, you know, has dye dripping down his face. Not that Rudy Giuliani, the respected Rudy Giuliani of 9/11. And I remember they was like, well, can we make jokes? Can we laugh? And they allowed the world on Saturday Night Live to laugh once again and to have fun once again. And I feel like that's what comedy is. Comedy is a place where you go to in your, you know, there's times when I had nothing, but I could laugh. I could have fun. When my mom passed, nothing was funny, but coming to work, having a good time with the neighborhood brought me out of that. It gave me something. And it also gave me something where I felt a certain way because my brothers and sisters didn't have the outlet that I had. And that is the job that I have and the fun that I have with the job that I'm doing. And I felt like at that moment, I love what I do. And I love that I have an outlet. And I love that I have a place where I can feel safe and a place that I can deliver and have fun. Now, when I was watching Dave Chappelle, the reason why I say it's the best and the scariest at the same time is because he did a lot. You know what I'm saying? He did a lot. He spoke about a lot. And even when you see Dave Chappelle, if you watch The Dreamer, he'll say something, then he'll do this. This little look, you know what I'm saying? And that look was like, oh, I know I'm effing up here. I know I'm pushing the line, but go with it. You know, even when he was speaking about the handicap, he was like, hey, we were here to hear jokes about trans people. You know, he was like, oh, I punched down. You know, and as you sitting here, you find yourself laughing about that. But the one thing that I was saying, I had a chance to see this when they were touring, and that was his conversation about, you know, Chris Rock. We all saw Chris Rock get slapped by Will Smith. If you didn't see it live that night, it was one of the most viral clips of the year. And Chris kind of sat down on it. Chris didn't say anything. Everybody in the world wanted to speak to Chris, but Dave Chappelle talks about his first conversation with Chris Rock and how that went.
Right before that tour started, Chris was involved in what we blacks might even consider a goddamn 9/11. Chris got slapped in the face at the Oscars by Will Smith, which was one of the craziest things I'd ever seen. In fact, if you watch it live on television like I did, when it happened, I thought it was fake. And I wasn't sure, so you know what I did? I waited, because I'm like you, I know Chris. I waited like 30, 40 minutes, as long as it would take him to get to another party. And I called him on FaceTime, and he picked up. As soon as he picked up, he said, "You was the only I had to answer the phone for." Apparently, Obama and Oprah, everybody had called this see if everything was all right. And I thought it was fake. I didn't know. So I asked him, I go, well, you know. He said, "What?" I said, "Well, did it hurt?" And he said, "Yes, it hurt." And then I knew that it was real. And then, and only then, was I offended. And I wasn't just offended that he got slapped. That was only half of it. The real offensive part was that after he slapped him, this Will just sat down and enjoyed the rest of his evening. It was.
Hey, man, when he said Will sat down and enjoyed the rest of his evening, I hadn't really thought about that. And we kind of like, but I was like, damn, he really did sit down and enjoy the rest of his evening. You know, and I remember I was watching the Oscars live that night, and I never watched the Oscars. I never sit down and watch the Oscars for like 3-4 hours or whatever the Oscar time is. We pretty much live in a world where like, oh, give me the clips, who won Best Picture, Best Movie, that kind of thing. But I was watching the Oscars live because I was waiting for a different Will Smith moment. You know, I'm thinking like, man, this is the year that Will Smith is going to get his Oscar. And I remember sitting down watching that live. And when Chris Rock came out and did his jokes and everything, I remember when he said, he, you know, went up and slapped him. And I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? What am I watching? And then when he walked back, I wasn't sure if it was real or not. So when he sat down and I saw the live audio try to, you know, mute, when he was like, keep my wife's name out your effing mouth, I told my wife, I said, oh, he's serious. And I remember my wife, after Chris Rock said it, my wife knew immediately. She said, Jada's mad, because the way that Jada looked. And when he went up there and slapped Chris, and when you hear Dave speak about he stayed for the rest of the night, I remember, and Dave summed it up himself like, you know, oh, like pretty much, and a lot of comedians was like, man, Will Smith wouldn't have stayed.
And then all year, we was touring, and I couldn't wait to see what he was gonna say in his special about this slap. And I toured him all year, but the night he taped his special, Chris was one of these guys, he's crafty. You never know what he's gonna say until he really says it. So I went to see him tape his special. He looked at the crowd, he walked out. I didn't expect him to say this. He looked at the crowd, it's all black, Baltimore black. He said, "I refuse to be a victim." And the crowd said, oh. And I was backstage looking like, watch the tape.
Watch the tape. I remember our boss, Doc. Doc was like, big, you need to get Chris Rock on. I'm like, bro, everybody in the world is trying to talk to Chris Rock right now. Like, you think Chris is really going to take my call and say, you know what, man? I got to give this exclusive to Big Boy. That's not going to happen. You know, it's definitely not going to happen, man. But when you see where he say that Chris Rock stole his moment, because after that, it felt like it was like a green light on comedians. Not only did you see Chris Rock get slapped by Will Smith, but you also started seeing other comedians with people jumping on stage thinking that this was okay. Even, you know, even DC Young Fly had to put his hands on somebody because they thought that it was okay to jump on stage. Fast forward 3 months, now we see Dave Chappelle get attacked at Hollywood Bowl in front of everybody.
And I'm sitting up there trying to think of what to say. And I'm tongue-tied.
Let me just paint this picture. This is Dave Chappelle at Hollywood Bowl in front of a sold-out crowd at Hollywood Bowl. All of Hollywood, as far as like the stars, it was a night that everybody wanted to see Dave Chappelle do what Dave Chappelle does very well. So you can imagine what the guest list look like. The people coming out, what that look like is date night. You're ready to see Dave Chappelle, and then you see this guy jump on stage and literally attack Dave Chappelle. And Dave was even talking about in The Dreamer, like when he went to go grab the guy, he said the guy's hair felt bushy. And he said it was like growing dreadlocks. And he was like, it wasn't like, you know, paraphrase, it wasn't like cool dreadlocks. He said it was like homeless dreadlocks, you know? So after he gets attacked, he's thinking like, man, I gotta finish this show.
And I'm sitting up there trying to think of what to say. And I'm tongue-tied. Me, of all people, can't think of anything to say. Look at my karma. Just that moment. Of all the people in the world, Chris Rock walks from backstage, walks up to me in front of 20,000 people, grabs the mic out of my hands and looks at the crowd and goes, "Was that Will Smith?" Man, mother fell out of their chairs laughing. I was standing there looking stupid. I was furious because I'm thinking in my mind, this is my attack. You got attacked 3 months ago. Now you have jokes.
Hey man, but you see the power of comedy?
Yes.
Like he made his own attack funny.
Yep.
When anyone else would think like, oh, I'll be mad, I'll be upset, I'll be pissed. He made his own attack funny. So if he could take his own attack and make that funny, then there's other things that you think like, okay, we fault comedians for making another situation funny or a broad stroke of something funny. And I do this thing called phone taps when I'm live on air, right? And I remember this one girl, she told me, she said, oh, that phone tap that you did, she said, I didn't like it. And so I'm thinking like, you know, you don't like every phone tap. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to. Right. But I asked her why. And then she told me why. And the reason why is because it struck her personally. She couldn't find anything funny in it because she was going through something. And I think aside from where comedy is at, people get outraged now just because. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And if one person jumps on, the cancel culture is so vast that they don't even, you know, apologies aren't even accepted anymore.
Right.
Apologies aren't. But getting back to Dave Chappelle, he said that every celebrity was out there because it was a huge night for Hollywood and a huge night for him.
You'd have to be there to understand, but when that guy tackled me, it was like a movie or something. You got to picture this. Picture a famous person you like. Every famous person you could imagine was at that show. It was like the biggest night that Hollywood had ever seen. And when that guy tackled me, he cleared the bleachers. I had to watch the tape afterwards to know this happened, but as soon as he tackled me, Jamie Foxx was the first motherfucker that jumped out of the crowd. He was wearing a white cowboy hat like he knew this was gonna happen to him. Never seen this in a cowboy hat before. And Jamie started chasing that around like any given Sunday. And that kid was fast, his was juking and shaking, and it broke Jamie's ankles, and he just kept running. And then Jon Stewart from The Daily Show ran from backstage and jumped at this like Super Jew. He was like, ah! And the kid seen Jon coming, so he jumped back, and Jon went flying that way, and this kid was fast. And then he turned around, he sees the emergency exit, he starts running for the emergency exit. Just before he got to the door, Puff Daddy from Bad Boy Records jumped in front of the door. That was like, Puffy got that. And then every celebrity just ran out because every celebrity saw themselves in me, and they just started beating the out of that kid. And I know Chris was backstage looking like, nobody helped me. Everybody hates Chris.
Hey man, and not being at that show that night, right? Just seeing how, do y'all remember the picture where the guy was on like the stretcher, like the gurney,
Yes.
and his arm was messed up? Not only did it affect the crowd, it affected us in a way if we weren't there, but it personally affected me because I got sued behind that.
What?
You remember I put up the picture, and down the road, some attorney got in touch with me and they sued me for using that picture.
Wow.
Yeah, the dude had like, I guess whoever took the picture, the photographer, he had a lawyer that would flush out every person that used that picture. And I had to pay the guy like $3,000 if I'm not mistaken. You know, and it's his picture. I still got it up on my profile now because they don't tell you to take it down. What they did was, it's up there. They probably took pictures of your page, so you can't just take it down. And it came months after. And it's like, okay, I got you. And I remember when I was like the $3,000, I was telling my lawyer, man, fuck that. That's crazy. $3,000, this, that, and the other. People use our shit all the time. He was like, you don't know what the guy asked for first. To this day, I don't even know what he asked for.
Oh my.
But I know that it cost me $3,000. to use that picture, and I'm gonna make sure that I shoot that shit over to Dave Chappelle. Should have never been on stage that night. You know what I'm saying? And Devin Travis, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, defend and secure Dave Chappelle a whole lot better. It cost me $3,000, man. And when we sat down and just really kind of just watched it, I remember, man, I watched the show The Dreamer on Netflix. I probably watched that like 3 separate times. Even right now, when we're just going through some of the clips, as you look around, people are laughing and not recycling the laugh, but you're laughing again because Dave Chappelle is such a genius at what he does. Yep. And I'm in a relationship. I've been with my wife for like 20 years, right? And you do have these moments where you think like, man, what would happen to my family if something happened to me? You think about that all the time. You know, Ani, I know you don't have kids. Natalia, you have your son. Jose, you got kids. You start to think a little different about the way you walk, the way you move, the way you talk, your security, even things in your life that you probably hadn't planned on in your earlier days, like, oh, you know, saving money. What about my will? What about my trust? Those are things that you don't think about until you really start living for not just for yourself, but for someone else as well. Yep. So when he talked about his wife, and he was talking about, you know, the moment that he had with his wife, and after he got attacked, and coming back into that hotel, and him having this beautiful moment with his wife.
I went to the hotel room. I was by myself, and I opened the door, and my wife was in there.
And let me tell you, man, I didn't know how he was going to come out of this. You know what I'm saying? Because he had me so wrapped up in this story. I was like, is this a joke?
I went to the hotel room. I was by myself, and I opened the door, and my wife was in there alone. She was sobbing, like sobbing. I said, oh, my God, what's wrong with you? Did you get attacked, too? And she's crying. She said, oh, my God, David, if you had died tonight, me and the kids would have nothing. Then I knew it was serious. So I sat down on the bed next to her. And I reached in my pocket, I pulled some keys out that she had never seen before. And I gently placed them in her hands. I said, sweetheart, those are the keys to my safe deposit box. God forbid anything ever happen to me. But if it does, don't even worry about it. You and the kids have everything you need in that box. I've already taken care of it. And she was looking at them keys, and I could see her mind realize what we were actually talking about. And then she just started crying harder. And to be honest with you, that made me cry a little bit too. And we hugged each other real tight. Do you know this looked in the box while I'm alive and well? Who does that? Oh my God. And then she was mad at me. She said, God damn it, David, I opened that box. I said, you did? She said, yes, I did. And there was nothing in there. I said, nothing. She said, nothing except your stupid joke book. I said, whoosh. I said, well, sweetie, look, if you tell those jokes exactly how they're written, you and the kids should be fine.
Yeah. Hey, man. And
really good jokes.
That's what I was thinking of. I was like, man, how does he come out of this? Because when you're watching it, it's like he paints this picture and you see him sitting on the bed next to his wife and putting the keys in her hand and his wife having this somber moment. It's like, it's real talk because I've had those conversations with my wife, especially when we were doing like the will and the trust and everything. And you got to really answer questions that like, man, what if I'm not here anymore? So I'm thinking all this. I'm thinking as a husband. I'm thinking as a dad. And this motherfucker thinking as a comedian. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking like, dude, how do you get out of this? And then we had a chance to speak on like a guy like Dave Chappelle. And I know Louis was speaking on this as well. There is just this jealousy that you would think like, man, how can that person be jealous? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Or you'll see somebody and you'll say, man, how could Jay-Z cheat on Beyonce? Mm-hmm. How could such and such? And then you realize that these people are just people. And so when he said that he had to go into his wife's phone, I was like, man, there's so many people that do the same thing.
One time I thought my wife was cheating on me. Yeah. You know what I did? I waited for her to fall asleep. She's Asian. I couldn't tell if she was asleep or not. I was looking at her.
This dude, see what I'm saying? Can we laugh at that? Yeah. Like, man.
One time I thought my wife was cheating on me. You know what I did? I waited for her to fall asleep. She's Asian. I couldn't tell if she was asleep or not. I was looking at her. And when I was sure she was asleep, you know what I did? I stole the iPhone. And I saw a text message in there from a fellow named Earl. I don't know anybody named Earl. I woke her up out of her sleep. I said, wake the up. Who the is Earl? And she said, David, what are you talking about? Oh, don't you play dumb with me? I done opened your phone. Who is Earl? And she said, oh my God, David, that's gay Earl from the hair salon. I said, word, what am I, a dummy? How am I supposed to know this? gay. And she was calm. She said, read his text and look at his pictures. I started reading the text. This fella sure does spell girl with a U a lot.
Yeah.
And I switched over and looked at his pictures, and I couldn't believe it. This fella looked gay and still pictures. His mouth was open in every shot. And then I knew she was telling the truth. And then I felt like dumb. I said, I'm sorry, just go back to sleep. I am sorry, I guess I just been insecure because all this cheating I've been doing. Good night. And she didn't let me leave. She said, well, since you want to wake up, and then she pulled my phone from under her pillow. I said, what the?
Hey, man, he was like, it's just, because of all this cheating I'm doing. Yeah. Hey, man, and you'll see in relationships, that's the first things people say sometimes is like, oh, the reason why he or she is doing that is because they're cheating.
Yep.
And so when you were sitting down and I was watching, I was like, man, Dave is just like us. You know what I'm saying? I'm thankful at the moment I haven't had any reason to go into my wife's phone. You know what I'm saying? But if I got there, hopefully I'd be able to swing out of it like this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And also have me a safety net like, oh, I thought you were doing what I'm doing. So I apologize for that. Man, bring Louis G in here because I got to have someone in here that frequents strip clubs. So, and Louis G, man, is one of those guys that Louis, you've been to the strip club.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, man. And Dave Chappelle goes into this thing about how he enjoys going to strip clubs. He frequents strip clubs.
The other day, my wife called me creepy. I frequent strip clubs. I don't want to, it's something I like to do. And my wife said I was creepy because I go to strip clubs by myself. Is that creepy? I think that's better than going with the fellas. That's creepy to me. Hey, y'all, let's all go to the strip club and get our car together as a group of friends. And drive home in a quiet car and not talk about any of the things we've seen or done. No,
hey, man.
I go by myself.
I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, me either, Doc.
Yeah.
And now, in hindsight, it's kind of weird. Yeah. Us rolling back home and be like, all right.
Hey, man, and then...
But my wife doesn't understand why I go to the strip club. It has nothing to do with sex, you understand? I need a pinch of sexual energy in a room to relax, but it's more about being out. I like the music. A few naked chicks in there, it just makes you feel good. But I'm not trying to socialize or meet anybody. Sometimes I go to the strip club and I bring a book. I do. And I sit right by the stage because the reading light is better.
I like when he said it came over, he was like, wait, no lap dance.
Shush him away real quick. Shush him away real quick.
Hey, man, so is it creepy?
It is creepy. Like I'm saying, every time I've gone to the strip club, it's always been with the guys. It's never been solo. I've even taken my girl Myra with me. We go in groups. But going to the strip club by yourself is definitely creepy. Bro.
Yeah, because I would think
It's hella
more
creepy.
so if I saw someone and they were by themselves, I'd be like, man, look at this creep over here.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
We go there and be like, I wonder how long he's been here.
Yeah, man.
And everybody knows him, and all the girls know him as whatever his nickname is. And yeah, it's definitely creepy.
Get up with fleece sweatpants on with no drawers on.
Yeah, dog.
Yeah, man.
Know if he's a whale or not.
Do you go, no, he's a what?
Yeah, a whale. They call them whales. The ones with a lot of money.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the big whales coming in.
Go ahead now. Look at Jose over there trying to play. He didn't know either. Hey, man, when you said whale, Wacko put his hand up like, oh, yeah, money.
Yeah.
Jose, Mr. Holier Than Thou, Mr. Christian, Bible in his belt. He was like, oh, what? Oh. So do you still go to strip clubs?
You know what? He has a good point. Strip clubs are a good vibe, dude. Even if I'm not there just for the girls, it's a good vibe to just go watch some sports, have some drinks, the vibe, the girls.
Hey, man,
it's not like I'm going there and getting lap dances every single time.
I think I had some of the best fried chicken in the strip club one time.
The food's great.
Yeah, man. I was doing Players Club with Ice Cube.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of strippers in Players Club. So one of the girls, her name was China Doll. I didn't remember her name the last time.
China Doll.
Her name was China Doll, and she had her birthday party at a strip club.
Yeah. Because
she was a dancer. And so when I went to her birthday party, I remember ordering the chicken, and I was like, man, this is some good ass chicken. Yeah, man. And so I had the chicken probably another 30 days in a row after that.
Yeah, what you talking
I just kept going back for the chicken.
Well, with Magic City, I've never been there. I don't know if you have, but they always say that the chicken and everything.
Yeah,
and the food is good.
You mean Magic City in Atlanta?
Yeah, have you been there?
Yeah, I had to take some people there.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't me, man. It was the far side. It was the group.
Gotcha.
So, You know what I'm saying?
Must be nice.
At that time, I was just working for and with them, so I had to take them over there. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't me. But Dave Chappelle is one of those guys, man. I've followed Dave Chappelle career since, many years. Just a young, skinny guy that came out on stage, and he was the bud guy. You saw him in, Half-Baked. And then you just saw him, and people say early on, and I don't want to say he morphed into this, but you saw him become a comedian that was extremely intelligent, and he could take anything and make it a joke. Even some of the stories that people don't agree with, I could see the comedic genius in his work, and it's undeniable. And I think that there's just some people out there that feel like, even in our business of radio and introducing songs and everything, people say, oh man, I don't like such and such a new album. It's whack, whatever it is. And then you say, have you listened to it? And they're like, no, I don't need to listen to it.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of that happens with Dave Chappelle as well. When you hear the joke play out, I don't, and maybe I'm not in one to be offended by certain things, so I don't know what could offend you, but I just know that right now we are the most toughest and the weakest at the same time. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy how we're we got thick skin and thin skin at the same fucking time.
Yeah.
Everything. And even as I sit down and I do radio, I'm thinking like, damn, should I have said that? Because the cancel culture is so vast.
Yeah.
There's phone taps that I do that's on air. I probably got more phone taps that we had to take out of our library that we can't use.
Yeah.
As opposed to ones that we can use, because by today's standards, the content would be too much for somebody.
It's easily 100 of them.
Yeah. Oh,
Easily.
no. Yeah, way more than that. You think Jason said he think about 500
Oh, yeah, there's
that we can no longer play.
I go through them all the time and I'm like, can we play this one? Nope, Louis, nope.
Yeah. That we have lost because people listen different.
Damn it.
You could be held by something that happened, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years ago. Yeah. And some of those things are very valid. This isn't me just giving a broad stroke of do whatever the fuck you want to do, going out there and act crazy. And you know what I'm saying? There's some things you got to be held accountable for. But there's just it's this outrage that really trips me out, man. And comedy was a safe zone. And I understand that there's boundaries. I understand that there's some that's too much. When you think about comedians like Andrew Dice Clay, there's some comedians that couldn't make it today by today's standards if that was the introduction of their material. Yeah. Because we're just living in a different place, And it's wild because you see it on social media as well. You'll see on social media, you'll see a tone that's set where if you read the first couple comments, and then the tone will be set for all the other comments.
So true.
You'll see people lose endorsements. And like I say, people don't even want to hear the apology anymore. Yeah. Because we just want to make sure that we have this thing. It's like a domino theory. It knocks me over, it knocks Natalia over, it knocks Louis over, it knocks Ani over, knocks Chuck over. It's just this one thing, and it's like you get into this thing where it's like, we got to have this person by the throat. We got to. And I understand accountability. Yeah. I understand even when on my end, I work for a very large media company, and I understand that I can't just come in here and just go, willy-nilly and act crazy. But there are some times, man, where I'm hesitant because I know that people are listening different. And I do have a mental editor. And that doesn't make it, oh, man, you got to keep it real. There's a difference between keeping it real and a difference between keeping it real stupid. And I was telling the neighborhood today that I got a call that there's something that's being worked on about Kanye West. Yeah. And when they spoke to me about the content of it, I don't control the edits. I don't control what the other, 56 minutes may look like if it's a full hour without commercials and I pop in and out for 4 minutes. I don't know what the other parts of the content is. So I'm not going to put myself in a position where something is said, something is crazy, and now I go with the herd. You know what I'm saying? So I'm also very conscious of my mental editor. I'm conscious about my brand, and I don't step on eggshells, but I don't break them either. You know what I'm saying? And especially on purpose. I don't just get up and just say stuff just because it's the popular thing to do. But back to Dave Chappelle, man. Dave Chappelle, the dreamer, I enjoyed it. And the thing that I love too, man, is I love that he continues to do his work.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because so many different organizations, people, everything, they'll come at Dave Chappelle, and he continues to do his work because that work needs to be heard. You agree with it or you don't agree with it. That's what being an American is. And that's what freedom of speech is supposed to be. I remember Ice-T years ago, and other people said it too, is, there's freedom of speech. Just watch what you say. And I think that's where we are now with freedom of speech. Just watch what you say. And I have been in the category of watch what I say. So now I'm done. Fuck y'all. No, just see, even I was like, you see, no, I'm just playing. Hey man, but even here, sometimes we're sitting here with the microphone on, we were like, oh man, if that would have got out, because and everything is just taken. Everything is a soundbite now. Everything is a soundbite. And then you say, man, did you listen to it in its entirety?
Yeah.
And that's why I say with Dave Chappelle, did you listen to the entire joke? Did you watch when he said something at minute 12 and then at minute 37 he came back and it was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I get it. I felt that whole wraparound, but it is what it is, and it's going to continue to be so, man. And with Dave, I felt that, and any other comedian, any other person that's in a position, not even just Dave and people that's in positions and people, construction work, whatever it is, man, whatever your job or whatever your lifestyle is or whatever your conversation is. But when it comes to comedy, it's not about pushing the line. I'm not saying, push the line, push the line, push the line, push the line. It's about making sure that line isn't pushed back farther than what it is already. It's not, or just the line disappearing so back that we don't even know that a line exists. I understand that there is a line, but if you want to destroy the line or completely push it back and we can't say anything, we're all effed up.
It'd be a dad joke special.
Yeah, and then be like, I'm upset I don't even have a dad. I can't understand these questions, these jokes, like, why does knock, knock? Why we can't say ring, ring? People gonna always find something, man. But thank you guys, man. That's just my opinion. Dave Chappelle, The Dreamer, Netflix. Watch it if you would like. I enjoyed it. The neighborhood enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And thank you for hanging out with us once again with Big Boy Uncut.